My wedding was small on purpose. That's what I told people. We rented a quiet garden venue. Paid in installments. My wife and I chose everything ourselves: the chairs, the food, the music. No negotiations, no family committees. It felt clean. 3 years earlier, my brother's wedding had been something else entirely. Ballroom downtown. $40,000, maybe more. My parents told that story often. The custom suit, the imported flowers, the honeymoon package they surprised him with. "He's always needed a little more help," my mom would say fondly. At the time I believed that explanation. I was the steady one. Good job, no emergencies, no dramatic collapses to rescue. Self-sufficient became shorthand for self-funded. At my own reception, near the end of the night, my wife was saying goodbye to her relatives when I stepped outside to get some air. My parents followed. My mother adjusted her shawl and looked around the modest space. "Well," she said, "you should be grateful we even showed up, after everything this year." I wasn't sure what she meant. They hadn't contributed financially. They hadn't offered to. My father gave a short laugh. "Your brother always needed us more than we needed you." It wasn't cruel in his tone, it was casual. Declarative. Like he was explaining the weather. For a second, I felt 10 years old again, standing in the kitchen while my brother explained another failed semester and my parents nodded sympathetically. Meanwhile, my report cards sat quietly on the counter, unremarked. I nodded. That was the part they expected. My role in the family had always been accommodation. We hugged. They left early. The next morning, I made coffee in the house I had purchased 2 years prior. The one my parents stored extra furniture in, temporarily. The one where my father parked the second car I technically owned because his credit had dipped after signing something for my brother. I opened my laptop. There is a difference between anger and clarity. Anger feels hot and immediate. Clarity feels administrative. I logged into my bank and reviewed authorized users. My father's name appeared on one account, added years ago when he needed short-term access during a refinancing issue. We never removed it. I scheduled an appointment. The banker didn't ask for drama. She asked for identification and signatures. Within 20 minutes, my father's access was formally revoked. A printed confirmation slid across the desk. Next, insurance. The car registered in my name but driven primarily by him. I updated the policy. Removed him as an approved driver. The representative read the legal language slowly. If he continues driving the vehicle, it will not be covered. Understood, I said. Utilities were simpler. Password changes. Account holder corrections. Automatic payments rerouted to a separate household account my wife and I controlled exclusively. No announcements. No group messages. The first call came 3 days later. "Something's wrong with the car insurance," my father said. "They're saying I'm not listed." "That's correct," I replied. A pause. "Well, fix it." "I won't be." Silence thickened. Not explosive, confused. "You're overreacting," he said finally. "I'm separating finances." I answered. "That's all." My mother called that evening about the storage room in the basement. "You changed the lock." "Wes, we still have things there. I'll have them ready for pickup this weekend." She exhaled sharply. "This is because of one comment." It wasn't because of one comment. It was because of a pattern that had never required acknowledgement. Growing up, I'd learned that needing less meant receiving less. When my brother struggled, resources flowed toward him. When I succeeded, it was framed as independence. I had internalized it as pride. Now I saw the cost. I had been financing their comfort, not because they demanded it outright, but because I assumed that was my function. My brother called eventually, not defensive. Just uneasy. "I didn't ask them to help me more," he said. "I know," I told him. And I meant it. Favoritism isn't always engineered by the favored child. Sometimes it's built by parents who feel needed by one and unnecessary to another. A week later, my father arrived to collect the furniture. He looked smaller in my driveway than I remembered. "You're making this permanent," he said, not accusing, observing.
"Yes,"
He nodded slowly. For the first time, there was no lecture about loyalty. No comparison. Just the quiet logistics of loading chairs into a borrowed truck. The family group chat cooled after that. Fewer invitations. Shorter messages. I was described, I'm sure, as distant. What surprised me was not the distance. It was the absence of resentment inside me. I kept waiting for guilt to flood in. For the feeling that I had punished them. But I hadn't taken anything that belonged to them. I had only withdrawn what was mine. My wife asked one evening if I regretted it. I regret that it took this long, I said. There was no apology from my parents, no recognition of imbalance. They still tell stories about my brother's wedding with warmth. But last month, when my father mentioned needing help with a bill, he phrased it differently. Would you be willing? He asked. Willing. Not obligated. Not assumed. I told him I'd think about it. Self-worth, I've learned, isn't loud. It doesn't slam doors. It changes the locks quietly and hands back the keys without spectacle. The house feels different now. Not bigger. Not emptier. Just finally, entirely mine.